Welcome to the Geeks and Greeks podcast, where we bring in the latest and greatest in the world of sports. We couldn't be more thrilled to kick off this exciting journey with all of you. In this podcast, we'll dive into everything from game recaps to news and hot takes. Whether you're a diehard fan or just someone looking to stay in the loop, there's something here for everyone. So grab your favorite team's jersey, settle in with some snacks, and let's get ready for an adrenaline-packed ride through the world of sports. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Geeks and Greeks podcast, and the first episode of the off season following the end of the NFL season, man.
The saddest episode ever.
I think the saddest is the last one of the NFL season.
Yeah.
Because that means it's over. So, all right, this one we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to go through, we decided to kind of make some of our favorite sports movies from, growing up and everything, and just in general. And then we were going to go through and rank them, and we'll see which one kind of comes out on top. And we've also got the NBA Game of the Week and the new one that we'll be watching this week as well for next week's episode. So we got a show for you, and let's go ahead and get on into it. So, but first, how's your guys' week been this week?
It's been all right, man. I've been kind of all over the place. My kids are at their mother's house, and it's just been like fire after fire that I have to put out. I haven't had a chance to relax at all, man. I'm completely burnt out. I feel like shit. And I get my kids back in 2 days. How about you?
You know what? It's been one of those weeks where the weather here has been super weird because it got to 55, 56 the last 2 days.
Yeah.
And then now it's back down to 45 and rainy today. So it's the weather just has no idea what the hell it wants to do. Right. It's kind of annoying. So, but on the plus side, we finally got a working furnace after 3 weeks. So, that's a bonus.
Hey, all right.
Yeah.
So, it could be worse.
Yeah.
But what you got going on, Tom?
For me, I finally put the bow on a 4-month project, and I'm so happy to see that thing out the door.
Nice.
And
that's
they asked,
the best.
My boss asked me if I'd be interested in doing a project like that again. I said, it'd be a cold day in hell before I do that project again.
Nice.
The correct answer is if that project comes with a 20% pay raise and extra PTO time at the end of it.
But with that, we'll go ahead and kick off our top 10 sports movies list. We will each say one of our favorite sports movies, and then each of us will give a score of that movie, and we'll eventually have a top 10 list for you. Hopefully we don't have too much crossover. But I will go ahead and bring up our Geeks and Greeks top 10 list, which is blank right now, but
all right.
Soon it will have movies on it. Pete, why don't you give us the first movie we're going to put on our list?
All right. I got to kick it off with my all-time favorite sports movie. It is Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby. It's my favorite Will Ferrell movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I watch that movie every 3 months. I can pretty much tell you the entire script of that movie.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, Pete, what's your score of Talladega Nights?
I'd have to put that at the top at a 1.
I mean, a 10?
A 10? Sure. Yeah, there you go. A 10.
Adam, what is your thoughts on Talladega Nights?
So my issue with Talladega Nights is I've never seen it, so I have to give it a
Oh,
0.
come on.
Well, okay, so there's multiple reasons for this. I
right.
hate Will Ferrell movies,
Oh.
so that's number one. Is I hate Will Ferrell movies.
What movie
Oh.
made you hate Will Ferrell?
Saturday Night Live.
Will Ferrell.
Saturday Night Live.
No, see, that's actually not true. I loved Will Ferrell in Saturday Night Live because he's great for a 10 to 15 minute skit. After that, I can't stand the man.
Oh,
Yep.
man.
So any movie where he's the main character, I never want to see. And I'll tell you what movie it was. It was Elf. Elf
Okay.
ruined any Will Ferrell movie for me ever, and I refuse to watch anything where he is the main character. So Talladega Nights, Semi-Pro, I don't care. I will never watch them. Movies where it's something like Wedding Crashers or like Old School where he is a side character and will show up randomly throughout it, I don't have a problem because he kind of randomly will appear and then go away. When he doesn't go away, that's the problem.
You gotta watch Talladega Nights, man.
Never.
Like,
Will never happen.
I hear what you're saying about Elf, but it is so not even that level of humor. Like, it's a completely different genre. You gotta watch it.
It's never going to happen. So-
I feel kind of bad, but I'm in the same boat as Adam is when it comes to Will Ferrell. I've
You
said
both
it,
suck.
I've said it a million times. Will Ferrell is Tabasco sauce. It's good when it's lightly put on food, but when you're shooting it straight out of the bottle, it sucks.
Oh, God. Have
So,
you ever seen Talladega Nights?
I've seen up until the prayer,
Oh, God, the prayer's the best part.
and that was.
I like
funny,
to think of Jesus as like singing lead singer in a Leonard Skinner cover band, and I'm in the front row, and I'm hammered drunk.
but I will give it a 3 because it's not it. I will say it's probably his best movie, but it's the shiniest trailer in the trailer park.
You guys are nuts. I gotta change my whole list now.
All right, Adam.
All right, so I'm gonna start. I'm gonna go with my number 5 since we went. I guess, yeah, I'll go with my number 5 movie, which this was one of my favorite movies in high school. Not high school, like late middle school into high school when I first saw it, and I loved this movie growing up, and that's Happy Gilmore.
All right.
Love Happy Gilmore. It's probably by far one of my favorite golf movie ever. I mean, it's probably honestly my favorite Adam Sandler movie too, to be honest with you. I loved Adam Sandler in this movie, and to me this is peak Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
So I would probably give this probably a good like 6 on my list, like 5, 6. So 5.5.
I tell you, if I was just ranking Adam Sandler sports movies, this would probably be a 10 for me. I think it's weird. He's been in enough sports movies you can rank just those.
Yeah, I know, right?
I want to say I agree. This is peak Adam Sandler humor. Like, I love this movie and Billy Madison are probably my 2 favorite Sandler movies, and I think he went downhill after Happy Gilmore, honestly. But I'm going to agree with you on a 6. We'll stick with that.
I have way more love for this movie than the two of you. This actually just fell off my top 10 list, but this is one of the best Adam Sandler movies. I'd say top 3 for sure. And I gave it an 8.5.
All right.
So that puts
Didn't realize
us-
we were doing decimal scoring.
You can't.
Talladega Nights is gonna lose.
Dude, I'm sorry, man. You picked a movie by the dude like someone I
Such a
absolutely.
good movie.
I'm sorry.
So my movie that I'm gonna put up is the movie that got me interested in street hockey in the tender age of 14, and that is The Mighty Ducks. Uno,
Okay.
the first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved everything about this movie, and there is some argument about part 2 being better. I don't agree, but I just like the whole story of Coach Bombay, the ragtag group of kids. It really was a fantastic story. I give it a 9.5.
So I also really like the Mighty Ducks. I liked both 1 and 2. I thought they both were really good movies. Mighty Ducks did not make my list, to be honest with you, but I do really like the Mighty Ducks as a movie. I'd probably give the Mighty Ducks. I'll probably give it. I'd give it a 5.
All right, and Pete.
So, I believe that we said we were going to judge all franchises as a single movie. And
We
I
did
think
say
this
that.
one of the franchises that begs the question, is it better to judge the whole series or just an individual? Because the second movie, I actually agree, is better. I really like the Bash Brothers and the Knuckle Puck. Like, there were so many good things about the second movie that I think were better, but I think Mighty Ducks has always been near and dear to my heart. I think I'm going to have to give it an 8.
Do we not talk about the third movie?
Nope.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. Yeah. We're done after the second one. I'm not.
Like if we're judging the entire series, we got to talk about the third movie.
I mean, yeah, but then imagine judging the Highlander series by the second one.
Yeah.
Aw.
You got to take it down a couple pegs, man.
Right? Yeah.
It's like if we don't talk about Bruno.
Nope. Nope. All right, Pete, what's the next one on your list?
All right, so I wanted to go with a classic one. It's funny because it got me more into erector sets than it did baseball. But The Sandlot,
Oh,
and I think it's a great story. Classic kids playing baseball throughout the summer, getting into trouble. Like old school ways, you can't get into that kind of trouble anymore. Like that's quintessential like 80s 90s kind of trouble you could get into, and these days it just wouldn't be allowed.
You get arrested.
Yeah, you get arrested within like 30 seconds of what they were trying to do.
Especially pool.
So I'm gonna put this one behind the Mighty Ducks for me. So I'm gonna give it a 7. Yeah, 7 sounds good.
all right. And Adam.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. You couldn't do that nowadays. The whole movie you couldn't do nowadays at all. Honestly,
Yeah.
you probably couldn't even do it in the 90s, to be fair. I mean, you could do that in the 60s. You couldn't do that nowadays.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, honestly, for me, Sandlot, I have to put behind Happy Gilmore too, and I think I gave that a 6. I mean, I'd probably have to give it a 4 because I don't even like it as much as the Mighty Ducks. For
No.
me, to be honest with you, yeah, it's not a bad movie, but it doesn't hit for me the same way that like the Mighty Ducks and Happy Gilmore did. So. I may have been a little bit harsh on the Mighty Ducks and Happy Gilmore. I'm kind of learning how we're giving points out in this thing.
We're learning as we go.
Yep, feeling out process.
I love The Sandlot. Sandlot was one of my top 10s. And it was one of those that I grew up in the 80s. little more than you guys did. And I actually remember doing this kind of crap, and it was terrifying when you were doing shit you weren't supposed to be doing, and a cop car would flash its siren at you and say, "What you doing?" And just yell back at him, "Playing." And he goes, "Okay," and he drives off.
Jesus. Nowadays, you're lucky if he doesn't get shot in the process of doing that.
I will give it an 8.8.
All right.
Adam, your next movie.
All right. So I'm going to go with my absolute favorite movie when I was a kid, growing up. And this was what got me. I mean, I was already kind of into basketball at the time, but this really cemented it into it. And this is going to be the original Space Jam with Michael Jordan.
Nice.
Like, I mean, there's not much else to say. I mean, I'm pretty sure anybody that was born in the 80s or 90s has seen this movie. This movie was absolutely amazing. They tried to remake it, and it failed miserably. Like, the original was the best. I love this movie, and it still holds near and dear to my heart. So, I'm going to give this movie a 9.
Alrighty. Pete, what's your score?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with a 9 as well.
Oh, wow. I'm the low man on this one. I absolutely adored Space Jam. This was peak Jordan NBA popularity. This was the reason I went out for my high school basketball team and failed miserably, but still went out. But no, I give it an 8.1 for.
All right. So conversely, the one with LeBron James, I think,
Yeah,
I haven't
New
made it all the way
Age
through.
or something like that.
Haven't even made it all the way through it.
I didn't even bother trying to watch it. I knew it was going to suck.
Yeah, my kids like when it came out, I got really excited and showed my kids the first one again. I'm like, oh, we got to see the second one. I was like, sure, and I put it on and I fall asleep every time. I have not made it through the whole movie.
Oh, it's back to me. Well, all right. Here's the one I was wondering if you guys had ever seen, because it's not really your style of movie. But when I was a kid, my family was really big into NASCAR racing. So when Days of Thunder came out,
I love Days of Thunder.
it was amazing. So, yeah, Days of Thunder was. I still quote that movie, and I think it's amazing. I give it a 9.8.
So yeah, I like Days of Thunder when I was like in like middle school, high school. I liked a lot of Tom Cruise movies. I got into like Mission Impossible and all that kind of stuff, and was kind of a bigger Tom Cruise fan. So, and at the time, I also really liked NASCAR as well. So, I mean, it was a Tom Cruise NASCAR movie. So, absolutely, I'm going to watch this movie. I think one of my favorite lines in the movie was like, "Would you quit playing hide and seek in his mirror and just pass him already?" Yeah, no, I like this movie. I'd probably say this is probably for me 8.4.
All right. And Pete, ever seen Days of Thunder?
I have never even heard of it before this moment right now. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to rank it a 0.
Oh, that's unfortunate. You're missing out, man. It's a great flick.
Apparently.
Yeah, at one point the two like main drivers are they had to go to the hospital and stuff, and are told they have to drive to meet the head of NASCAR at a dinner, and they have to like drive together. Well, they stop at a car rental place and they each get a car, and they show up at the restaurant and the cars are just destroyed because they're on the streets of Charlotte racing each other like they are in the track. It's absolutely hilarious.
Oh god.
My favorite part was when they were being discharged from the hospital and they're in wheelchairs and they keep race in their wheelchairs to be in front of the other one.
While being pushed by like the people in the hospital too,
Yeah,
so they're
they're-
having to keep up with them.
They're dragging nurses behind them. Anyways, Pete, what's your next movie?
So I'm torn on this one. I feel like I gotta represent Philadelphia by putting Rocky on the list. But we also haven't even put a single football movie on this list, so
Don't worry about that.
that feels weird.
We'll have football movies.
So, all right. Both of your reactions, I'm gonna say, let's go with Rocky then. Like we said, we're gonna judge it based on the whole series.
Heck yeah.
To be honest with you, I haven't seen Rocky Balboa and I think Creed 3. But there's like 14 movies in this series and I only haven't seen 2 of them. So I think I'm doing okay. I don't know. Growing up in Philly, Sylvester Stallone being from Philly, it was always kind of like a Philly pride thing. You got the Rocky statue down at the art museum. I used to work right down there, so every day on lunch I went down and would do the Rocky steps and stuff. And like it's just kind of been part of my whole life's persona. So like I feel like I can't give this movie anything below an 8. So I'm just going to give it an 8.5 because 8 seems too low.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I loved the original like 1 through 5. I haven't seen Rocky Balboa either. I saw the first Creed, and I haven't seen Creed 2 or 3 yet either. Which, I mean, it's not bad for me with that many movies in a series.
Right.
So, but yeah, like for me, Rocky 4 is kind of the pinnacle of the entire like series. Like 4 has always been my favorite. I don't know, 4 just I loved it. It was always my favorite. It's just something about the 4th one just always caught me the most. I think it was honestly the training montage of him training like in like Siberia, basically.
It's the best, yeah.
Like it's the greatest training montage ever, I think.
Oh, and the Dolph Lundgren one-liners like, if he dies, he dies. Or, that is not a man. That is a piece of steel. I must break him.
Right? There was an interview, I'm sure it was after the movie, but they were talking with Stallone about Dolph Lundgren, and he's like, oh, dude, I hate that man. I legitimately hate him because he's, like, look at him. The dude looks like a model, but yet he's also, like, a physicist, so he's smart as shit. He has, like, either an MBA or a doctorate in it, and he's like, I hate that man. He's, like, he's almost the perfect genetic human being. I hate him.
I was in my 20s when I met someone who didn't like Rocky 4 as their favorite, and I was baffled. I was like, how could you possibly think any Rocky is better than the 4th one? Like it's miles ahead of the others in the series.
But yeah, I mean, as a series, Rocky's just been absolutely amazing, and I'll probably give it a 9.2.
Nice.
I have to hang my head in shame and say that I've only seen the first 4. But those first 4 were flippin' amazing to me. I loved the both Apollo Creed movies. And then bringing in Mr. T was a weird choice, but I dig it. And then, like you guys said, Dolph Lundgren in the 4th was insane. The one-liners. I absolutely am sold on this movie series, and I give it a 9.6.
Nice.
And enter the values. That puts Rocky at first. Adam.
All right. Well, I am going to add my next one, which is going to be Coach Carter.
Ooh.
I love Coach Carter. This is by far my favorite actual basketball movie in general.
Yeah.
This actually was number 2 on my list of my top 10. This was just a great movie to me. I mean, it was more, I don't know, it's also one of those that I feel is a lot more relatable in general, too. Like, I mean, it's a movie, if you haven't seen it, that really is about a guy that takes a bunch of kids that really felt like they had no future and gives them a real future. Like, it's not necessarily about, while it's about basketball, it's also about building a life outside of basketball and using basketball as a way to build a life. Like, he not only does he use basketball to better themselves as teammates and as people, but he also uses it to get them to college to better their lives in the future as well. So, and plus, it's got Samuel L. Jackson. How's that bad? I mean, Samuel L. Jackson is Coach Carter.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, for me, this one's a 9.4.
Yeah. Coach Carter, I think that's peak Samuel L. Jackson to me, too. This is one of his best performances, I think. And you're right. I mean, it is a lot about, taking underprivileged kids that really wouldn't have any kind of future and giving them something to focus on so they can get a future. And because of that, it brings up like, it's what sports are really about. And like people who don't like sports that always like make fun of it and they're like, what's the point? Like, this is the point. Watch a movie like Coach Carter and you see that's the point of sports. Like, it's to give you something, a competitive but healthy competitive focus so that you can focus your life, get it together, and become a functional human being. And to some people it sounds ridiculous, but you watch this movie and you get it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it a 9 as well.
I don't dislike the movie. It all right. In all fairness to the movie, it caught me at a time when I was being bombarded by a whole lot of teacher comes in and saves students from bad situation movies. And it was like the third or fourth one in the series, so I was like emotionally drained by then. I'll give it a 7.2, but it is a good movie. It's a good message. And you're right, it's Samuel L. Jackson in his heyday, which he seems to have like a 30-year long heyday. But,
That's fair.
But yeah, I'll give it a 7.2. It's to me.
Yep.
Oh God, I'm gonna get grief about this one. I had an infatuation with the martial arts when I was a kid, and the pinnacle movie that tapped into that was the Karate Kid series.
Okay.
And yeah, I love this movie. I love this series, and Cobra Kai was like my fan mail being answered.
When you said, honestly, when you said you were gonna give you crap for it, I thought you were gonna go with like a Three Ninjas.
But I will give the Karate Kid series a 9.9.
Oh wow. So Three Ninjas is a great movie.
It is. I mean,
Have you never seen Karate Kid, Pete?
No, of course there's the Karate Kid, and I love Cobra Kai. Honestly, I think Cobra Kai is significantly better than the Karate Kid. I like the Karate Kid. I'm not trying to disparage it, but I when you said that Cobra Kai was like your fan mail being answered, like I couldn't agree with it more. Because like I always saw the story from the other side, where it's like I mean, I understand that the Cobra Kais were jerks and everything else, but like Danielson was really the aggressor every single time, and he picked every single fight, and it always bothered me that your hero was the one who was causing all of the problems. And like I enjoyed the movie, but not the way most people did. And like I'm gonna because of that, I think I'm gonna give it like a 7.5.
All right.
So, here are my thoughts on the Karate Kid. I've never seen it.
What?
How did you dodge that bullet?
I don't know. To be fair, I've only ever saw the remake with Will Smith's son,
Okay.
Oh.
and I really don't remember that much of it, to be honest with you. So I don't
Yeah,
think
that-
I can really fairly talk about it. So I think I'm gonna have to give it a 0 because I really just don't remember much of it, unfortunately.
Fair enough.
So I did not include that one in it because I am such a Jackie Chan mark. I love that movie. I just don't see it as a Karate Kid movie.
Right. So, I mean, I've never seen Cobra Kai or any of it, so I have to give it a 0 because I've never seen any of it.
Yeah.
So
All right, Pete. Next one.
All right. Well, we're about to round out 10. I know we're probably going to go a little further than that, but we got to get some kind of football movie on this. And I've kind of like been trying to figure out what one I want to bring up first, to be honest with you. I had it, and then it's not here anymore. All right, so I think as the first football movie, I'm going to go with the one that got me into football as a kid, and it was Little Giants.
Yeah.
And I loved that movie growing up, and it always made me want to want to go out and play. And like when the kids put the Malox tablets in their mouths, and they're like foaming at the mouth, it's like, "You want intimidation? I'll show you intimidation." And like I was such a nerd as a kid. And like I went out for football for the exact reasons these nerds went out for football. So like it's really what got me into it. So I'm gonna give it I'm gonna go with 8.5 for this one.
yeah, I love Little Giants. I mean, same thing. It got me into football as well. I always wanted to go out for football. I was never allowed to go out for football, and it sucked, and I was always really sad and disappointed. And like, I don't know. I wish I could have gotten to play, honestly, when I was a kid. I really do. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it just never happened. And by the time Mom finally agreed to it, I was already like a sophomore, junior in high school. I'm like, well, now it's too late.
Man.
Like, I'm too far behind. Like, there's nothing there now.
Right.
This need to start back in like 5th, 6th grade.
Yeah.
Like, we're too far away. Sorry. But still a fun movie. I love the movie. It was so much fun. I've always wanted to try the annexation of Puerto Rico. I want to see someone pull it off in a game, but no one ever did. So I'd probably give Little Giants. I'd probably give it a 7.7.
Yeah. I love the Little Giants. Rick Moranis is one of my favorite actors, and just to see the whole thing, and having Rick Moranis be the little brother in that to Ed O'Neill from Married with Children was the best casting I could ever have imagined.
Yeah.
And I love the John Madden cameo in that. I thought that was phenomenal. It is by far my favorite football movie, and I'm not sure if I mean just for kids or at all. But for right now, it's my favorite football movie, and I give it a 9.4. Adam.
I kind of wonder how going back and watching that as an adult, how it would hit now.
Yeah. I
All right.
mean, I watched it with my kids, so still a pretty decent
Yeah.
movie.
I haven't seen it in probably close to 25 years, so
Oh
I
wow.
kind of wonder what it'd be like to go back and watch it as an adult. All right. So I will also add a football movie to this, and I'm gonna add my number one to this one. I'm adding Remember the Titans.
All right.
So we're kind of going in the same vein as Coach Carter, a little bit different scenario, but kind of in that same vein. I'm sure again, probably most everyone has probably seen this movie. It was huge when it came out. Dealing with the racism in the 70s and dealing with segregation in Virginia, which I mean anyone that's been around knows what a huge deal it was. So and again, this is how sports can help people work through things that can be huge deals in real life, and how it can help bring people together and help in real life in ways that we may not see, and how people may not see things behind the scenes. And it was, I mean, obviously based on a real story. Things are going to be changed for movies. We know this. Not everything's one to one, obviously, but we actually have a friend that we went to college with whose mom went to the school that this was based off of. And he's
Yeah.
even said that this was close to what actually happened. And that, it actually helped things go fairly smooth. Like, obviously there were issues, but it actually helped things go. She told him that things actually went smoother than they thought it would have because of it. And that, and it could have been a lot worse, but overall, things went better than people thought that it was going to. And this is what sports can do in the real world that a lot of non-sports people don't understand. So, for me, this movie's a 10.
All right, Pete.
So this was the other movie I was actually flipping between this and Little Giants. I really like this movie too, for basically everything you just said. So I don't want to drone on too much about it, but yeah, I mean this feels up there. I'll go, let's say 9.5.
All right. This is probably my definitely top 3 football movies. I love Denzel. I love the story of the high school students. And I love how they depicted the fracturing of everything they learned over summer camp. And as soon as they got back to school with their friends, how the things started to shift and they had to fight to keep it back to the way they learned. And I thought that was an amazing story because that is, anybody who's ever gone through high school knows that's exactly how it is you start to shift when you get around people that think differently. But I will just say
Nice.
I give it an 8.3. All right, and for me, well, this is gonna suck because I know one of you doesn't like it that much, but it is my favorite baseball movie of all time. It is Major League, and I love Charlie Sheen as Wild Thing. I love Bob Uecker as the
Yep.
announcer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's absolutely amazing. I still to this day go just a bit outside. Very, very few movies will I give a 10 to, and this is one of them. I give Major League a 10.
Yeah.
So I like Major League a lot. So I don't know. I guess Adam's the one who doesn't like it.
It's
I don't know. This is, I mean, it's peak Charlie Sheen for me. I don't know if I'd give it a 10, but I say it's a solid 8.
Okay.
It's not that I don't like the movie. It's just that I've only seen it like once or twice, so I just haven't seen it a lot. So that's really
Yeah.
all it is. When I have, because I saw it, like I said, when I did watch it, it's funny. I liked it. I just haven't seen it a ton. That's all. So I'd probably give it a good 7.7, yeah, 7.7.
All right. And now each of us gets one more movie to put on the list. Pete, what's the last movie you're putting up?
Oh, last movie I'm putting up. I'm gonna have to go Homer and throw out Invincible.
I knew it.
It's a great movie. I do think it's kind of funny that like the big climax is the Eagles beat the Cowboys and then went like 2-12 that season. It's just like, okay, well, hey, at least they beat the Cowboys. But it's based on a true story, starring is it Marky Mark?
Yep.
And about a guy who didn't play college ball, just walked on because they did open tryouts for the Eagles and ended up returning kicks for him when the Eagles were like pretty much the worst team in the league, and started rebuilding. And we eventually made it. I think we made it to a Super Bowl with that coach, Vermeil. I think that was Dick Vermeil, and we went to a Super Bowl with him. But yeah, and just about how it affected his life and how he kind of realized how he was stuck and then needed to move on. I don't know. I don't want to give a whole summary of the movie. It's a good movie. Obviously, it's about the birds, so I gotta love it. I'm gonna go with, let's give this one an 8 as well.
I thought they were doing tryouts because there was a player strike.
Was it the player strike? I
It
thought
was
it
the
was just
player
because the
strike.
team was bad.
No, it was a player strike.
Oh, okay.
That's why they were doing tryouts, because
Been a while.
they wanted the season to go on, so the entire league was basically just a bunch of bums.
Yeah.
And they had a player strike going on.
Yeah.
So it was the opposite of the referees of the referee issue we had a few years ago.
Right.
Except instead of bad referees, we just had a bunch of walk-on bums playing the NFL.
Yeah.
So, I've seen this movie. This wasn't a bad movie, and yeah, I do find that funny that the climax was just them beating the Cowboys, and then they even
Right.
said they went like 2-14 because the players came back after that week or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And they still lost like every game.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd probably say this movie for me gets like I'd probably say a 6.5. So,
All right.
not a bad movie, but a fun movie.
Yeah.
Goes from returning kicks in a sandlot to returning kicks in the vet.
Yeah. Except it's Philly, so it wasn't a sandlot. He was playing on the street. If you remember, it was like concrete.
Oh, was it the street? Oh, I thought it was like a parking lot or a sandlot or something.
It was like a parking lot, but it was concrete. Yeah, they weren't
Yeah.
playing on grass. It's Philly, man. There ain't no grass.
I kind of had the same opinion of this movie. It's fun. I liked it. I just thought it was something. I thought it was a silly movie. I didn't realize till later that it was actually based on a true story, and
Nice.
I thought it was kind of cool. But it's definitely my top 5 of football movies. So I'll give it an 8 flat.
Nice.
Adam, your last movie on the list.
Oh, wow, it ties for 7. Nice. All right, let's see. I'm going to go, and I'm going to put a wrestling movie on here.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
I'm going to be the only one that's seen it, too, from that standpoint.
No,
I'm surprised Pete hasn't seen this one. So I'm going to go, this one is Iron Claw.
Yep.
Yeah, nope.
I had it down to 2. I knew it was going to be one of 2.
This is Iron Claw, and this is the story of the Von Erich family that just came out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
This has Zac Efron playing Kevin. the only
Yeah.
one to survive from that family, unfortunately. But yeah, it was a really good movie, and it starts. I mean, they're all adults basically, and then it starts with them. Based in the '70s, where they were, popular in Texas and everything, with their dad as running the organization, and with Carrie as the starting to be the. Actually, Carrie was not the champion in this one right now. He was off training for the Olympics, and then came back and then ended up becoming champion. But it was a good movie. I really liked it, and it went through the turmoil of the family with basically all the downfall of the brothers and the dad, and pretty much all of the brothers killing themselves, unfortunately. So it's a sad one, but it's a good one. So I liked it. Zac Efron did a really good job, and worked with a lot of different wrestlers behind the scenes to learn the moves and learn how to move like a wrestler and how to do it, and did a good job and did his research, and he pulled it off. I think he did a really good job. I think you definitely check it out, Pete, if you get the chance. So yeah, I'd probably give it a good 8. So won't make the top list, but it is what it is. So.
Pete?
Yeah, I unfortunately have not seen this one. I know of the Von Erichs and a bit of their story. There are Von Erichs that are presently wrestling in Texas.
Yep.
They were wrestling for AEW for a little bit, Ring of Honor for a little bit. But I have not seen this movie, so I'm unfortunately going to have to give it a 0.
Yeah, those are the sons of Kevin.
Yeah. I've seen quite a few wrestling movies, but not this one. I only said uh-oh because it was like any of the wrestling movies I've seen I wouldn't put on a top 10 list.
Yeah, no, Iron Claw was really good.
Yeah.
I've heard great things about Iron Claw. Unfortunately, I have not seen it myself, so I likewise have to give it a 0.
Hey, Talladega Nights didn't come in last.
I just want to get a wrestling movie on here.
Yeah, I get you.
Man, you guys have peppered my list. I'm not sure what's left. Oh, hey, that's my football movie. Here we go.
All right.
I have to put this in air quotes as a football movie.
Uh-oh.
If it's soccer,
But-
I'm going to be severely disappointed.
No,
It's like
no,
Kicking and screaming with Will
absolutely.
Ferrell.
No.
Draft day?
A different SNL alum. I went with The Waterboy.
Ah, okay.
That's a football movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 Adam Sandler movies making it to the list. Look at that.
Everyone knows that screech that he makes when he's just about to hit somebody, and
Yeah.
Mama says that she's the devil, and it's amazing.
Please don't hurt me.
Oh, God.
I give it a 9.2.
Oh, my God. So, this is one of my all-time favorite Adam Sandler movies as well. And my favorite quote from it is, Mama says alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth and they don't got no toothbrush.
Yes.
It's the best line in the whole movie. Oh, man.
Followed by my next favorite line, which is like the next line after that almost, which is, "It's okay, guys. Coach said it's going to pretend. Coach says I can pretend."
I can pretend. Oh, man. Vicky Valancourt, man, I had such a crush on her. She's probably like 90% of the reason I like the women I do.
That explains so much.
Doesn't it? And
So-
and the cameo by the Big Show.
Oh, yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes. Captain
Captain
Insano.
Insano.
Yep.
Which he has recently trademarked, and I think he's wrestling a match or has wrestled a match as Captain Insano in AEW.
That's awesome.
But what'd you say, 9.2?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with 9.3 then. Do you want better?
Adam.
Yeah, this is probably my third or fourth favorite Adam Sandler movie. Yeah, I love it for pretty much all the same reasons. But I'm gonna give it an 8.9.
All right. Oop. Just the one. And that finalizes our
Wow.
top 10 list.
Look at that.
For some reason, it didn't merge Little Giants and Coach Carter, even though they have the same score. But
But it merged Mighty Ducks and Invincible.
That's weird.
yeah, it's supposed to merge when they're the same. But yeah, our favorite sports movie is Remember the Titans, and well deserved.
Agreed.
Oh, I forgot.
It's all over. My leg! Wow, that is a disturbing image.
I love how like we didn't mention a football movie until like the final 6 movies, and then we ended up with 2 in the top 3.
Yeah, we backloaded them.
And Waterboy was last.
Waterboy was the last one, and ended up being number 2.
Yeah.
That's great.
Heck. All right, so moving on to our. So our top 10 list is Happy Gilmore at 10, Mighty Ducks and Invincible tied for the 8th spot, Little Giants and Coach Carter tied for the 6th spot, Major League at 5, Space Jam at 4, The Rocky series at 3, Waterboy at 2, and Remember the Titans at 1.
All right.
All right, so that brings us to the NBA Game of the Week.
Here comes a new challenger!
All right.
Right. So this week's game was the Bucks versus 76ers. And it's funny because sometimes when we like, go back to watch like older games, I got to remember that they're watching older games because they're talking about like pre-All-Star stuff. I'm like, wait, this stuff has already happened. What are you talking about? Like, oh yeah, that's right. This is from January. All-Star hasn't happened yet, or like the trade deadline hasn't happened yet.
It's funny because that's how I was when they started talking about the football games.
Yeah.
And they're like, they like show the guys in the Eagles. He had like a piece of athletic tape with the word Eagles written across his chest.
Yeah.
And they're like talking about how the Eagles just made it to the championship game. I'm like, oh, right. This game was forever ago.
Yeah, right. It's funny because it's like, and it wasn't even like a legit one because he just like put masking tape and wrote Eagles on it.
Right. He took it off.
He took it off later because one of the announcers was like, I think they call that custom.
Yeah.
I like
It's
how the
even
one
better
was-
because the dude that had that's from Philly.
Yeah.
I like
All
how
right.
the
Well,
one
since
ladies-
this is,
Oh.
no, I was gonna say since this is Pete's first time watching a 76ers game, I kind of want Pete to go first and see what he thought of first time watching 76ers basketball.
I mean, I think this year in general is a bad year to select from for the Sixers.
Fair.
It was pretty like they hung in there in the first quarter. They looked like they were mounting a comeback in the second to make it close, and then they were just completely gassed by the end of the third quarter and couldn't play anymore, and it just kind of made me sad. And it was like one of those things where it's like, yeah, I listen to a lot of Sixers podcasts now just to kind of prep for this sort of stuff, and it's like I finally get what they're saying in all of those podcasts where it's just like so disappointing because it just is. And I know they're riddled with injuries and they just need to give up on the season. And this was kind of evidence of that, in my opinion.
Yeah, because it's one of those things like when I watch them, it's like you can see the potential. Like you can see what's there and like if they're healthy, what they could, what's possible. But it's
Yeah.
like they're just, and that's the problem too. Is like they're just never healthy. Like
Never.
Embiid is never healthy.
Yeah.
Dude has missed almost as many games as he's played in his career. And it's just like, man, if he could just stay healthy, but like that's what's hard. I'm like, I love Maxey, man. Like watching Tyrese Maxey, I'm like, dude, if this dude just had like if he could just run with Embiid and he could just be there, like these guys could make it. It's
Yeah. I did get the Sixers broadcasts,
okay.
and I think they were talking about Maxey, and it was the first time they mentioned scoring from the paint. And the way the Philly broadcaster said it the first time was whenever he gets into that painted area. And it was like, hey, look, he managed to explain it to me really quickly during a game. I just needed to listen to a Philly broadcast. That's what it was.
Well, there we go. Right? And, like, I mean, one of my notes I had, like, I mean, because they had a Dembona starting this night, and this was his first start. I'm like, dude, this dude played well for a rookie.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I liked him when he was playing. Like, he had the energy. He did all the dirty work that you could ask for someone for a center to play like that. Like, he did the best job he could against Giannis. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he's gone up against a 2-time MVP in his first ever start. He got worked, but you expected it. It's like, man, I felt bad for him. Like, oh, dude, damn.
Yeah.
But I mean, he showed a lot of promise too. I mean, he's a late second round pick. And it's like he did well. He really did.
Yeah.
But it's like Giannis is just a whole another beast. That dude is incredible. Like he just was like it's like he was everywhere. Like it's like everywhere. Every time I'm looking up and watching something, somehow he's like everywhere on the court at the same time. It's like it's almost like it reminds me of like watching Luka, where like he just makes the entire offense run,
Yeah.
but he doesn't have the ball in his hands. But yet somehow he makes the offense run.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, this game just reminded me how big of a nerd I am because every time they said Tyrese Maxey's name, all I could hear was Jar Jar Binks saying, "Ooh, Maxey big de force."
God.
And I could not take the game seriously because every time they said Tyrese Maxey, and Tyrese Maxey is the best player on the 76ers right now, and it's like
Yeah.
we were saying his name every 10 seconds,
Right.
and all I could hear is Jar Jar Binks in my head. I'm like, oh God, this is going to be a long game.
What did he put up? 37 points this game? Something like that?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ridiculous numbers. He had the best numbers on the 76ers, I know that.
Oh yeah, by
For
far.
sure.
All right. Well, I mean, I listened to the Bucks announced team, and the first quarter they weren't that great. Like there was multiple times where they'd have like subs coming in, and they wouldn't tell you who was coming in and who was going out. And it's like, dude, are you gonna tell me who the subs are? Like,
Yeah.
I follow the NBA, but even I'm not sure who's coming in, who's going out. Like you're supposed to be telling me who's coming in, who's not. Like there was at one point they just had a conversation going and they weren't even like talking about the game. I'm like, dude, like, but I'm not here to talk. I'm not here to listen to your conversation.
Right.
I'm here for you to tell me what's going on in the game. I'm talking
Right.
about the game. Like, this is bad.
Yeah.
Like, talk about the game, not what's going on, whatever you're talking about. Because I don't even care what you're talking about. It's like, Jesus.
There was sort of a moment like that on the Sixers podcast because they were talking about the Eagles, and then she started veering off and started talking about the Bills and the Ravens game. She's like, "So which team do we want to win tonight? Do we even know?" And the other guy's like, "The Sixers." And she's like, "Oh, I mean the Bills and the Ravens." It's like, why don't we talk about basketball for a minute?
Right?
I love that sportscaster. She was great.
Yeah.
Oh, man, makes me kind of wish I would have watched the 76ers.
You should go back and watch it. Yeah.
I should.
I love how she was saying that now that the Lions and the Packers are out of the playoffs, I don't really care anymore.
Right?
It's great. Oh, man. Dude, like, did you catch, like, the last shot Giannis had in the first quarter where he went up and under the backboard
Oh
to
yeah,
get that
Oh, yeah.
layup.
yeah, that was crazy.
Like that was absolutely nuts. So like he was on the baseline and they brought a double team and he saw it coming, but because he's under the backboard, not only did he have to avoid the double team and go between them, he had to at the same time go under the backboard and spin it, and then get the English to come back off the backboard and make the layup, which
Yeah.
happened
Yeah,
in a
it
matter
was
of like
insane.
a second and a half. And
Yeah.
like, it's just like, how do these guys do? Like, I can't imagine the time and practice they have to put in to do this kind of stuff. And it's just like to not only see that the defense is coming, to then process it and then make the shot in a matter of like 2 seconds is just insane. Like, I don't know how these guys do this. It's just incredible.
Yeah. So underneath the net, there's like a little arch drawn on the paint. What is that for?
So that is the restricted area. If you are within that, and like say you like they go to like take the charge, or whatever, it's going to be a block. That's kind of like that's kind of what it is. So like a lot of times you'll see guys that as the guy's going to drive in for a layup, a lot of times guys will go in that area and like just kind of stand still to try to draw a charge. If their feet or anything are like touching that arch area, that's going to be a blocking foul. If they're not touching that, then a lot of times they'll get a charging call. So that's kind of what more of that is used for. So
Okay.
that's really about it. So yeah, Philly's gone through some two-way players this year between the G League and them, and they had one out this today. His name was Nance.
Nance.
Dude
yeah.
was chucking threes because he kept missing them, and Milwaukee just wouldn't guard him.
Yeah.
They'd give him a pass on the 3-point line. They were like 2 feet away and like, shoot it, I dare you. And he would, and he missed.
Yeah.
He went 2 for 7.
Yeah.
It's like,
it
dude,
was
you're on
awful.
a 2-way contract. You should not be shooting those.
Yeah.
Like, not at all. So,
All right. Oh,
No, no. The only other thing I had was one of Milwaukee's fast breaks where they got a pass and dude had a behind the back pass to Giannis where
Oh,
he
yeah.
dunked it.
that.
And
Yeah.
I'm watching. I'm like, dude, that happened in 4 seconds between the steal, the pass, and the dunk. It was 4 seconds, and that's it. I'm like,
Right.
again, the speed of this game sometimes, and it's like, and then they just go back down and then play like nothing happened. It's just like, man, the speed sometimes. Like that's why, like, I wish that we had this kind of intensity and stuff. Like, not necessarily every night, because it's hard to come with that kind of intensity for all 82 games. Although it'd be great, but like, if we can get that kind of intensity at the All-Star game with like the best players in the league, it'd be so much better. Like if
Yeah.
guys cared that much to play for the All-Star game, it'd be so cool to see that kind of speed and just power and stuff in the All-Star game. Would be great. It really
Yeah.
would.
So, Adam, who do you have us watching next week?
So next week we have the Nuggets versus the Celtics, and this game actually will not take place until this weekend on Sunday, March 2nd. So this is going to be a battle of two of the top teams in the league right now.
Nice. All right, so that moves us along to Geeks and Greeks news. Now, top of the news is we have the Green Bay Packers are a bunch of whiny crybabies as they have petitioned the NFL to ban the tush push, citing player safety.
Oh my god.
Packers president and CEO Mark Murphy is quoted as saying, "There is no skill involved." Jalen Hurts would disagree, but it is almost an automatic first down when you're trying to get a yard or less. So what's your point? And Bills coach Sean McDermott is cited player safety concerns despite the Bills' failed attempt at doing a tush push against the Chiefs in the conference round of the playoffs this year, but they failed miserably because they don't practice it nearly enough as the Eagles do. Okay.
This is so ridiculous. Like, first off, it's a quarterback sneak. How are you going to ban a quarterback sneak? Like, let's be honest here. And the only difference is the tight end and the running back push the pile forward. It's the only difference between this and a standard quarterback draw. Like, there really isn't a difference. And if it was so automatic, A, it would work every time, and B, every team would do it. But they can't, because you know what there's involved? It's a thing called skill. You have to have that in order to do it. And it's absolutely insane. Everybody's going to do it. Everyone's going to try it. And I think I heard this, and I haven't gotten a second source, but I did hear this the other day, that the Bills actually have a higher percentage than the Eagles do when they do it. And it's not even... It's so stupid. Like, what's next? We're gonna ban people from doing group tackles? Like, as one person per tackle from now on because of player safety? Like, this is just dumb. It is nothing but sour grapes. And the only thing I can say is, honestly, these never go through. One team asks to ban a move. It happens all the time. They never go anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. They're just little bitches that can't fall forward. How many times have you heard someone say, all you need to do is fall forward? The Eagles figure out how to do it, and they're like, no, you're not allowed to fall forward in football.
I mean, I don't understand how the Bills can't do it. Josh Allen's the biggest and toughest quarterback to take down. How can you not get a yard?
I don't know how you didn't get a yard there, but I do think they have a higher percentage than we do over the season.
So, like, there you go. What do you care?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if they want to ban the tush push, then they should just ban quarterbacks running, period. They can't scramble at all.
Right, no scrambles.
Then there goes Josh Allen's biggest advantage in the football game.
Yeah.
I was going to say, there goes like a quarter of the plays-ish.
Yeah.
For Buffalo, yeah.
Oh, yeah, but also for, Baltimore and Philadelphia and Dallas and...
Anybody with a tough quarterback.
Jacksonville.
Right. Jacksonville.
I would argue against the player safety bit, as I think the tush push could potentially be one of the safest plays in the league, because you want to know how people get hurt when there's a guy with a full head of steam just laying a guy out that's not ready for the hit.
It's true.
There's nobody moving fast in a tush push.
Right.
Yeah, this is so dumb. This is just Green Bay. This is Green Bay being Green Bay and being whiny.
Right.
Like I just see Stone Cold give him 2 middle fingers and walking off, and that's all it's gonna be. Like, nobody cares. Shut up and get back to your plays and drafting no bunch of nobodies, and then we'll see you next year.
Yeah.
But
Like, nobody cares. They're not banning the tush push. Move on.
in closing, I will say I really appreciated Jalen Hurts' comments on the topic, where he talked about all the hard work that the Eagles put into perfecting their version of the tush push. And him saying it's not as easy as you think it is, that they worked a long time to figure out how to do it right, and you can't argue with results. Think they figured it out. They
it also
cracked
doesn't
the
help
code.
that it also doesn't help that he can squat like what, 650,
something like that. Yeah.
Like,
it also helps that like the offensive line is the best in the league, and like they're the heaviest team in the league, and they're I heard this one stat was great, is their combined weight is the same as a polar bear. So it's like going up against the polar bear with a football behind them.
that's getting pushed forward too,
It's getting pushed forward. Yeah, it's not a good time.
right?
I love how Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley have this friendly rivalry of who can squat the most weight, and apparently Saquon Barkley can just blow Jalen Hurts out of the water, because he can. It's like whatever Jalen Hurts can max, that's what Saquon Barkley does 10 of. And I was like, damn.
Nice. Nice.
Have you seen the man run? I believe it.
Have you seen him leapfrog over a motherfucker?
See,
Backwards.
Backwards.
now we need the Saquon tush push though, like because I know he wants to
my
try
God.
it, and like we got the 2,000-yard season, we got the Super Bowl, we got the most yards including the postseason. Let's just let the guy get a tush push now. Let's see it happen. See if he does it as good.
Tush push touchdown.
Tush push touchdown for Saquon.
You know the worst part is I just had this hilarious image of them doing a tush push, and then Saquon just walks over the pile and into the end zone with the football.
All right. I think that's going to be about it for us this week, unless you guys have any final thoughts before we cut this week.
My final thought is the Sixers coach looks like a disappointed stepfather. Other than that, I'm good.
My final thought for this week is in dedication to the upcoming Combine, I have to share a memory of the 2009 Combine where I saw Pete in a black hoodie talking to NFL prospects on the sidelines. And then it turns out when it was his turn to perform, he takes off his black hoodie and, hey, that's not Pete. That happens to be Clay Matthews. Who, and it was so funny. As soon as he takes that hoodie off, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's not Pete.
Did I tell you about the homeless guy in the subway who thought I was Clay Matthews one time? I was just like walking down. I'm walking to the subway, and there's this homeless guy in the thing, and he goes, "Holy shit, it's Clay Matthews!" I'm like, "I'm not Clay Matthews, buddy." He's like, "Oh damn, you could cash his paychecks, man." It don't look like Clay Matthews.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's great. All right. My final thought of the week is, we are actually about a month away from opening day of baseball.
Oh, hey, look
Opening
at that.
day is March 27th, so we are a month and a day from opening day of baseball.
All right.
It is crazy to think that it is already almost the opening day of the season.
Yeah.
I don't know how people follow baseball for 162 games. I could not do it. I check in for the first month of the season, the All-Star game, and the last month of the season, and
Yep.
the playoffs, and then I'm done.
That's about it. Yep.
All right, but that's it for us, folks. Thanks so much for joining us and tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and you can never miss an episode of the Geeks and Greeks podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. Until next time, may the coin toss of life ever be in your favor. Later.
Later.
Peace.